Hello, in today's session I will start with module 2, that is all about spatial domain and frequency domain. In some of the images which we have captured, it is very difficult to extract the complete information because that it might be a poor quality image. So, in order to extract the complete information from that image, we may have to process that image, we may have to improve the quality of that image. So, to enhance this particular image, we have to go for image processing operations. Okay, there are two types of image processing domains, that is one with spatial domain and another with frequency domain. So first let us understand what is this spatial domain, what is this frequency domain, and what are the differences between this spatial domain and frequency domain. Okay, so spatial domain deals with the image plane itself. That means we know that whenever you represent an image f of x comma y, we say that this x and y represents the spatial location, right? So this is how we represent an image where x represents the number of rows, y represents the number of columns, right? So this is how an image is represented in spatial domain. So in spatial domain, we always deal with the image plane itself. So that means this is the spatial domain image plane and this represents the origin. Okay, whereas in frequency domain, we do not deal with the image plane directly. Here, first we convert this spatial domain image into transform domain, and then we will perform some processing operations in that transform domain image, and then again we will convert it back into inverse transform domain. Like, so if at all I have a spatial domain image, in frequency domain, first we convert the spatial domain image into the transform domain. So usually this transform, what we use here is the Fourier transform. Okay, now we will perform some processing operation on this Fourier transform image, not on this spatial domain image. Okay, and after performing some processing operations, next we convert this into inverse Fourier transform domain to bring back the results in spatial domain. Okay, so in frequency domain, first we convert the spatial domain image into transform domain. Usually here we prefer the Fourier transform domain, and here we perform some processing operation on this transform domain image, and again we convert it into inverse Fourier transform domain in order to bring back the results in spatial domain. So this is how we work with frequency domain. Whereas in spatial domain, we directly manipulate on a single pixel present in the spatial domain. Okay, here in spatial domain, we directly manipulate on the single pixel present in this domain, whereas in frequency domain, we do not directly manipulate on the pixel, whereas we perform processing operations on the Fourier transform domain, then we convert back into spatial domain. Okay, and there are some differences between spatial domain and frequency domain. Like, it is very easier to process in spatial domain compared to frequency domain. As well, the frequency domain, it is the computational efficiency is very high in spatial domain compared to frequency domain. That is, it requires very less time and it requires very less computational resources compared to frequency domain, and it is very easier compared to frequency domain. So these are all some of the differences between spatial domain and frequency domain. So now again in spatial domain, me consider the spatial domain. In spatial domain, further there are two types of transformations. They are intensity transformation and spatial filtering. So, in order to process an image in spatial domain, further it is classified into two basic types, two basic principles. They are intensity transformation and spatial filtering. So, now let us see what is this intensity transformation and spatial filtering. So, intensity transformation here in this we directly manipulate on each and every single pixel and we transform this pixel and the output of this transformation results with the new intensity value for this particular pixel. So, for example, this intensity transformation is always represented by an expression S is equal to T into R, where R is the intensity of the pixel before transmission, okay, and S is the intensity of the pixel after transmission. So, R is the intensity of the pixel before transmission. After transmission, it produces the intensity, output intensity as S. So, S is the output intensity after transmission of this image, where T is the transform operator. So, depending on this transform operator, here the input intensity value of the input pixel is mapped to the intensity, new intensity value of this output, okay. So, now this is how the intensity transformation works, and mainly these intensity transformations are used in two applications. One is contrast stretching and another is image thresholding. So, these are the two applications of intensity transformation. Here now look at this graph. S is equal to T of R. So, contrast stretching. This method is used to enhance the image, that is to improve the quality of the image. Here we perform contrast stretching. So, here in this case, if the intensity value of R, so we know that R is the intensity level of the pixel before transmission and S is the intensity level of the pixel after transmission, after performing this transmission operation. If suppose the range of intensity levels for R is less than K, then here in contrast stretching this is mapped to the narrow range of intensity levels towards the dark region. Okay. So, if suppose the value of intensity value of R is greater than K, then the this is mapped to the narrow range of values towards brighter region. Okay. So that means if the value of R is less than K, so that is mapped to the narrow range which is towards darker. Okay. And if the value of R, for example, if this is the value of R naught, so S is equal to T of R naught. So if the value of R is greater than this K, then it is mapped to the narrow intensity value towards white. So what happens by this? So for the value of R less than K becomes more darker, and the value of R greater than K becomes more brighter. So thereby giving the contrast in the image. So this is how the contrast stitching works. So if suppose we know that intensity transformation is performed on every single pixel. So if this intensity of this R is less than K, then it is mapped towards darker intensity value, and if R is greater than K, then it is mapped towards brighter intensity value. So the S depends on this transformation operator T. Okay. So next is image thresholding. So here in this case, dark to light, dark to light. So here in this image thresholding, observe that if the value of R lies in this range, that is from 0 to K, and it is assigned with the value that is 0. Okay, that means it is assigned with black. If the intensity value of R is greater than K, then it is assigned with the value that is white, that is L minus 1. Okay. So thereby this produces the binary image. So if the intensity level is less than K, that is assigned with black intensity level. If the value of R is greater than K, then it is assigned with white color. So thereby this produces the binary image where the thresholding is based on the value of K. Okay. So with intensity transformation, this is how the operation takes place. And next is the spatial filtering. So now we understood some basic concepts in intensity transformation. Now let us see how spatial filtering is done. So now here the general expression for performing spatial filtering is g of x comma y is equal to t of x comma y, where f of x comma y is the input image and g of x comma y is the output image, where t is the transform operator. So how this spatial filtering is different from intensity transformation? So in intensity transformation, we know that we directly manipulate on the single pixel which is present in the image, whereas in spatial filtering, here we do not manipulate on the single pixel. Instead, we consider the neighborhood of the pixel. So if this is pixel R, the neighborhood of this pixel, I have considered 3 cross 3 neighborhood. So the neighborhood of this pixel are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So now in spatial filtering, if the intensity value of R is the intensity level of the input image, then after performing spatial filtering operation, the output g of x comma y is obtained by performing the operation on this entire neighborhood of the image. So for example, and this is again depends on this transform operator T. If suppose this transform operator is average operator, so that means here this has to find out the average value of all its neighborhood, then it has to find out its output. So for example, if T is the average operator, if T is the average operator, then this is equal to, it has to find out the average of all the neighborhood in order to find out the intensity of the pixel R, then it is equal to A plus B plus C plus D plus R plus E plus F plus G plus H whole divided by 9. So this gives the average value. So after performing spatial filtering, so this for the transform operator which is given as average operator. So for that average operator, it produces the average value as its output. So this R pixel is assigned with the new average value as its output. Okay. So this neighborhood can be called as spatial filter, or this is also called as kernel. It is also called as template, or it can be called as mask, or this can be called as window. So several names are given for this spatial filter. Okay. So now the difference between the intensity transformation and spatial filtering is that in intensity transformation we perform operation on a single pixel in an image, whereas in spatial filtering we perform operation on the entire neighborhood of that pixel. If suppose the pixel is at the border, then the neighborhood of the pixel goes outside this image. So in this cases, usually we ignore the neighborhood pixels which are outside of this image, or else sometimes we go with zero padding of the pixels which lies outside the image, or we can assign any intensity value to the pixels, to the neighborhood pixels which are gone outside of this image, and this is again depending on the application. Okay. This is all about some fundamental concepts of spatial domain. So in spatial domain there are basically 4 types of intensity transformation functions. They are 4 intensity transformation function. So the first one is point transformation. Second one is linear. Third is log. Fourth is power law. or this can also be called as gamma correction. So these are the four basic types of intensity transformation functions. The first is point transformation, second is linear transformation, and it is also called as negative and identity. Under this we have two, that is negative and identity. Next is log transformation. Here we have log and inverse log transformation. Next is power law or gamma correction transformation. This is also called as nth root and nth power. So first let us understand what is this point transformation. Point transformation is very similar. Point transformation is represented by the expression S is equal to T of R. So in point transformation, here R is the intensity level of the input image and S is the intensity level of the output image, where T is the transform operator. We know this, where T is the transform operator. Right. So here, in order to map the values of R to S, we use the transform operator, and this transform operator is again it is based on the lookup tables. This contains one dimensional array where the values of each and every transformation is stored in that lookup table, and based on that it produces the output, that is S. So this contains one dimensional array. So this is the lookup table. So based on this, this produces the output transformation image, that is S. Okay. So if suppose we are dealing with 8-bit images, then this has 256 different intensity levels. So the lookup table size also correspondingly depends on that. Next is linear transformation. The linear transformation is represented by the expression S is equal to L minus 1 minus R. Okay. So here we know that R is the intensity level of the input pixel and S is the output intensity level of the output pixel. Okay. So now here S is equal to L minus 1 minus R. If suppose you have L intensity levels in an image, so 0 represents black and L minus 1 represents white. Okay. So this type of linear transformations are better understood with the graph. So in this linear transformation, the first type is the identity transformation. Identity transformation is nothing but the intensity levels of the image after transmission is identical to that of the original image. That means there is no changes with the intensity level even after transmission. Okay, that is what is identity. For example, if, so this is the intensity level of input intensity level, input intensity or excuse me, this is the output intensity level, that is S. Okay. So here in identity, if the input intensity value is L by 4, then the corresponding output intensity is also at the output is also L by 4. Here the horizontal axis represents input intensity value of R and the vertical axis represent output intensity value, that is S. Okay. So if the input intensity level is L by 4, then the output is also L by 4. If the input intensity level is 0, then output is also 0. If input intensity level is L minus 1, then for this graph the output intensity level is also L minus 1. So this is what is identity. So even after transformation there is no change in the intensity value. So next, again in linear transformation, next is negative. So we deal with these kind of images in like medical applications, like you might have seen X-ray scans, right? So there what we get is the negative image. Okay. As well in photographic images, the first thing what we get is the negatives, image negatives, then later on we process these negatives and produce color images, right. So these are some of the applications of this negative transformation. So the graph of this negative transformation appears like this. So this is what is this line represents negative transformation. That means if the input intensity value is L by 4, then the output intensity value is 3L by 4. Or if the input intensity value is 0, then the output intensity value correspondingly is L minus 1. For the input intensity value, that is R is equal to L minus 1, the output S is equal to 0. So here if R is equal to 0, then S is equal to L minus 1. If R is equal to L minus 1, then S is equal to 0. This means what? If 0 represents black, L minus 1 represents white. If R is equal to 0, then S, the output is equal to white. If input is black, output is white. If input is white, then output is black. If input is of lower intensity value, that is L by 4, then the output is of higher intensity level, that is 3L by 4. If input is of higher intensity level 3L by 4, then the corresponding output is lower intensity level, that is L by 4. So this is what is the image negative. Okay, and these type of images are used in medical applications, and one good example for this linear transformation, that is especially negative transformation, is shown in this figure. So now look at this figure. Figure A represents a digital mammogram image. This is the original image, whereas here you can observe that there are some white gray lesions which are embedded in the dark region, and this image is with black dominant image. Okay. So now in this image, in order to extract the details of that particular lesion, we need to convert into negative form. So figure B shows the result of the negative transformation image, where you can observe that the lesion appears darker. So here the bread tissue can be viewed in more detail in figure B, that is in after negative transformation compared to original image. So in these applications we use negative transformations. Okay. So next kind of transformation function is the log transformation function. So the log transformation function is represented by the expression S is equal to C log of 1 plus R. So here in this we know that R represents the input intensity level of the pixel, S represents the output intensity level of the pixel, and C is the constant, where C is constant. So S is equal to C log of 1 plus R. Here 1 is considered just to avoid log 0 value which leads to error. Okay. So S is equal to C log of 1 plus R. Now these log transformations are usually used to expand the darker intensity levels and or to expand or compress the brighter intensity level. So this is how the graph looks. So this is the log curve, this is inverse log curve. Now look at this log curve. So here this log transformation is used to, here if suppose, now let me consider an example. If the range of intensity levels for R varies from 0 to L by 4, for narrow range of intensity levels, this produces the output of wider range of intensity levels. So for the range of intensity level 0 to L by 4 for the input image, this produces the wider range of intensity level, that is from 0 to 3L by 4, okay, at the output of this image. So now here we are expanding the darker pixels, darker region, right, with log transformation, and the opposite is true with inverse log transform. In inverse log transform, for the wider range of intensity levels ranging from 0 to 3L by 4, for this range of intensity level given as input, it produces the narrower range of intensity levels as output, that is from 0 to L by 4. So here we are what? We are compressing this. Right. So inverse log transform performs the opposite operation of the log transformation. Okay. So look at this figure. Here figure 1 is the Fourier transform image. Now after applying log transformation of this image, now the figure B shows the result of log transformation. Here you can observe that the darker intensity levels have been expanded. Right. So this is an example of log transformation. And next is power law or gamma transformation. So here in this, the expression for power law or gamma transformation is like this: S is equal to C into R power gamma, where C and gamma are constants, positive constants, and this S is equal to R plus epsilon power gamma when offset is considered. That means if the value of R is 0, then the expression changes to S is equal to C into R plus epsilon power gamma, okay, where C and gamma are constants. Now the graph of this power law transformations appears like this. Okay, so this middle line represents gamma is equal to 1, and the right side of this line gives the gamma value which is greater than 1, and the left side of this curve has the gamma value which is less than 1. So here it is 2, gamma is equal to 5, gamma is equal to 10, gamma is equal to 20. Here it is gamma equals 0.67, gamma equals 0.40, 0.20, 0.10, like this. So we go for gamma transformation in case where I need to expand the darker region, or I may need to compress some range of intensity levels. So usually this is used to expand or compress certain range of intensity levels depending on the value of gamma. If the gamma is equal to 1, then this represents identity, there is no change in the image, and if the gamma value is greater than 1, then this provides compression of brighter region. If the gamma value is less than 1, then this provides expansion of darker region. Okay, so a good example for this is, now look at this figure. So now this figure 1 is the intensity ramp image, and you must be knowing that to display any image on a monitor, it gives darker image compared to the original image always. So if this intensity ramp image is displayed on the monitor before going for any gamma correction, then this produces the image as seen in figure 2. Okay. So you can observe that here that figure 2 image is more darker compared to the original image. So now the figure 1 is performed with gamma transformation. So we will correct this original image using gamma correction, then it produces figure 3. Now this figure 3 is the gamma corrected image, and whenever this gamma corrected image is displayed on the monitor, then this produces the image which is approximately equal and more accurate with respect to original image. So now compare figure 1 and figure 4, or figure A and figure D. Now these two are approximately same. So this is one application of gamma correction, and the next application is in compressing the darker intensity level. So now look at this figure. So now figure 1 shows the MRI scan image of the human spinal cord. Here in this spinal cord there is a fracture and spinal cord impingement. So but this lies in the darker region of this figure. So here we go for gamma correction, that is power law transformation. So here you observe that whenever the gamma value is being reduced, we observe that the darker part of this region is being expanded, right. So this is one application of gamma transformation, and another application of gamma transformation is in compressing the brighter intensity levels. So now for that consider another example. Now look at this image. So this is an aerial image. Okay. So this image appears to be washed out. So here we find brighter intensity levels dominating in this image. So here we perform gamma transformation on this original image, hence produces figure B with the gamma value is equal to 3. Okay. So now you can observe that this image has become darker little bit, that means the brighter part is been compressed a little bit. Now look at the figure C. after gamma transformation with the gamma value is equal to 4, we get this third image. Next, fourth image. So this is the result of gamma transformation with the gamma value is equal to 5. So now compare the original image and the last image, which is the gamma with the gamma value is equal to 5. So now here you can easily identify the details present in the image. Okay. So these are all excuse me. These are all some of the applications of this power law or gamma transformation. Thank you.